Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about my all-time favorite franchise, and that is the Vampire Chronicles, and we're going to be talking about the twisted, unnatural, ungodly experiments that Armand performed on Claudia in order to come to an agreement with her about leaving Louis so that Armand himself could become his new companion. Now don't worry, I'm going to get to these experiments in a moment, but it is extremely important to explain how all of this even came to be and why Louis would even contemplate leaving Claudia himself due to the very close relationship the two vampires had. So let's get to the talking point so we can understand Armand's mindset, and then we can take a look at Claudia's mindset. So Armand is the head of the Theatre des Vampires and lives by a set of rules, two of which are: never kill your own kind, and never make a vampire that is far too young to defend itself. The moment he sees Claudia, he knows she is marked for death by the Coven. It is totally forbidden, and to see a 60-year-old vampire in the body of a 5-year-old girl is worrying, as the body does not reflect the mental maturity of Claudia herself, which has really begun to take its toll on her. However, when it came to Louis, well, Armand was absolutely fascinated with him, fascinated with his beauty, but more so his character, as Louis had held on to so many parts of his humanity. Armand could see how Louis mourned the loss of one human lifetime, while he had mourned the loss of centuries of lifetimes. He desired him for himself, and the feeling was mutual. He wanted Louis for himself, no matter the cost. Unbeknownst to Louis and Claudia, Lestat then arrives at the theatre looking to speak to Armand. Appearing gaunt, frail, and in a clearly weakened state, he asks Armand for help in seeking revenge against Louis and Claudia for the attempt on his life. Armand will not help him unless he openly admits, right before everyone, that it was Claudia who tried to kill him. This was enough reason for Claudia to be sentenced to death, as it was against the Coven's rules to kill your own kind, and now they had the evidence to condemn her. Claudia and newly turned vampire Madeline are turned to ash following direct exposure to sunlight. That was it for Claudia. It was all we knew. Until, however, the novel of the vampire Armand was released. In the novel, we learn that, leading up to her execution, Claudia offers to leave Louis if Armand can give her the body of a woman. No matter how painful the process may be, no matter what it takes, she is desperate to escape her childlike body that she'll risk her own life. Armand reluctantly agrees despite having no medical experience whatsoever, and in a simply thought but wild experiment, he decapitates Claudia and tries to place her head onto the body of a vampire woman with the hope that the head will fuse to the body with rapid healing, ignoring the fact that it was two different blood types and two different bodies. The experiment failed, and Claudia was now left close to death. The reality of the situation is, Armand knew all along what would happen. It was more of a hopeful experiment, if anything. There was no actual way to transform Claudia's body into a woman's. There was no way to transport her mind either. Although the tale of the body thief disputes this, the book wasn't written at the time, so the option wasn't there. Anne Rice hadn't created that kind of universe yet. Armand knew that vampire blood had somewhat magical-like properties to it. It had rapid healing abilities and was able to transfer power to another vampire when consumed. As I said, what Armand didn't realise is that not everybody's blood is the same. He was not a surgeon, and his plan to remove Claudia's head and place it onto a vampire woman's body is so incredibly far-fetched and just crazy that it really just proves how desperate he was to have Louis, while in contrast how desperate Claudia was to have a woman's body. Armand then took Claudia to his lab where he would perform the surgery. In order for Claudia to have the woman's body, Armand would have had to kill a vampire woman, breaking the Coven's own rule of never killing your own kind, which is quite ironic if you ask me. Believing that Claudia's vampire healing skills would fuse with the body of a woman, he removed her head from her body and attempted to place it onto the new body. He would not explain what happened after that point, as it was so gruesome, so horrifying, that he cannot bring himself to speak the words. What I've taken from this is that the rejection of the transplant must have caused Claudia an overwhelming amount of pain. I also believe that the body of the woman had some sort of reaction to being fused with Claudia's head. However, that's just my own speculation. What is a fact is that Armand still gets flashes of the huge black stitches he used to reattach her head to her original body. Claudia was close to the point of death afterwards, and Armand did not want any evidence of his botched surgery left behind. Believing she would not survive, he put her in the air shaft with Madeline, where the sun turned both of their bodies to ash, forever hiding the scars as Louis looked upon her with total and complete heartache. It will be interesting to see Armand in the AMC series of Interview with the Vampire. Obviously, Claudia is played by an older actress, which means she's older in the series. So if we put all that together, we may not get to see any of these experiments that Armand performed on Claudia, or maybe the show's writers will change it around for the experiments to happen under different pretenses. I'm not exactly sure. From my understanding, it doesn't even seem like they've cast anyone to play Armand for season 1 yet, so it looks like we will have to wait for season 2. Anyway guys, to keep you all updated on any news that's released for season 2 that's Armand related, I will of course post on my community, or I'll make a video. I have to add that I think it's going to be really interesting to see Bailey Bass's portrayal of Claudia, but you know, 1900s New Orleans was a lot different to 1700s New Orleans, where plague and disease was a lot more common. Now it's not to say it's not common in the 1900s, but you know, it's 200 years later. It all remains to be seen. It's actually something that I like about the changes they made to the TV series, is that so many of us know what's going to happen when we see these minor or major changes. It's like a shock to the system. Some people won't like it. I myself am really loving the series. I'm loving the changes, I'm loving the different take on Interview with the Vampire, because as I said, we read the book, we know the story, we've seen the 1994 movie, and the producers of this show didn't want to remake a series that was mirroring the 1994 movie, if that makes sense. Anyway guys, that is my take on the twisted experiments that Armand performed on Claudia. Let me know how you're feeling about the TV series so far. I'd love to read all of your opinions. Thanks so much for watching, you guys are awesome. Please consider joining the Vampire Folklore family by subscribing and hitting the like button on this video. I'll see you all very soon.